Well, welcome back, folks. Today we're going to continue on with the rebuilding of the Yamaha YL1 carburetors. This is, I believe, part number 2 in the series. I'm not sure, again, how many parts we're going to have to this video, but at least 2. Let me bring you up to speed as to where I'm at right now since I broke the carburetors down in the last video. I started doing some cleaning. I think you can probably see here. I've done some basic soft brushing of the brass parts, such as the starter, plunger right here. This float right here I have cleaned. This was the worst of the two. The one in my right hand for the right carburetor was in much better condition. This is a starting condition. I have not done anything to this float. And you can see the left carburetor float here, which was very dirty. Had a lot of corrosion built up on it. I got that nice and clean. I'll demonstrate the technique I used to clean those floats a bit later here in this video. I've also done some cleaning of this float valve here for the right carburetor. Usually, not always, but quite often, the float valves can be salvaged and reused. It depends on if the tip has got a soft tip on it or not. This one doesn't. These are usually, I think, stainless steel, so they're by nature hard. And of course the body itself is brass. But quite often you can salvage these and don't have to replace them. They can be expensive. I'll demonstrate the technique I use to salvage those and how I test for a leaking needle valve before I put the carburetors back together. I'll bake that into this series here somewhere. I don't know if that test will be in this video or not yet, but we'll include that eventually for sure. These parts, the lower section on each side, have been cleaned in the media cabinet with glass beads. With the exception of the carburetor bodies themselves, I have not cleaned those yet, outside of cleaning them in the parts washer tank to get the worst of the oil and grease off of them. The rest of these parts, however, have been run through the bead blast cabinet with glass beads. You can see there the inside of that. When I bead blast the float bowls, I use these silicone plugs that are usually used for powder coating, because I don't want the fine glass beads to get down and wedged in those ports. So I just plug them with these silicone plugs, which are just about perfect. And the media does not affect these plugs at all. It bounces right off. And then you use a toothpick in this opening here, this port, toothpick in this tube, this overflow tube, and a toothpick here as well. So I plug all the openings and then I bead blast it. The rest of the parts are just bead blasted, as you can see right here. Now this part and this part are going to be replated because they originally were, I believe, nickel plated, or zinc plated rather. I don't think there's a nickel plated. I think they were zinc plated. And the rest of these parts were not. They're just castings. So the springs I'm going to leave alone. I'm not going to do anything with the springs. So these will be replated, these two parts. These are going to be ultimately be blasted with a soda blast unit that I talked about in a previous video a while back. The next operation I'm going to perform is to clean many of these components in the ultrasonic cleaner. And again, I did a video on that quite some time ago when I first picked it up. The carburetor body, the float chamber, the jets, the starter circuit plunger, I think I'm going to, and perhaps even the slide, just to make sure it's nice and clean, I'm going to put into the ultrasonic cleaner. I'll do each carburetor separate. In fact, I'll probably do several of these parts separate. In other words, I'll probably do the body of the carburetor individually from some of these smaller components. That'll be the next operation. Then after that I will after I've got everything good and clean in the ultrasonic cleaner, finish up cleaning some of these jets on the brass wheel, polishing them up a little bit. Then I will, for many of the components, they'll go and be soda blast treated with my soda blast unit outside to get the finish just right on them, or better than what they have today. The beauty of the soda, just to reiterate, is it's easily washed away and dissolved with water in rinsing. So I do not need to be concerned about soda plugging up any of these orifices or jet passages after I've cleaned them. And even if I was, I could just put them right back in the tank again, the ultrasonic tank, and re-clean them. However, my concern is the carburetor cleaning solution is going to dull the finish. That's why I'm going to soda blast them after I've cleaned them rather than before, because otherwise I think I'm going to affect the look I'm going for here on the finished carburetor, especially the float bowl and the body pieces themselves. So I'm going to go ahead here and get set up for the ultrasonic cleaner, and I'll bring you back when I've got that ready. So I've got everything set up at the ultrasonic cleaner. I have hot water in the tank. I started with hot water out of the tap. I have the temperature setting set at 48°C. So right now I'm at 42. It's a little bit lower than what I prefer. I prefer it up around 120 degrees Fahrenheit or so, 48°C Celsius. Let's see what this actually shoots at. I do have an inexpensive infrared thermometer I bought from Harbor Freight, and it's at almost 117 degrees. That's the bath, or the water. The glass container that I'm going to immerse the carburetor parts in, it's carburetor cleaning solution, my own homemade brew in the glass. That way I can keep reusing it and don't have to use so much of it by filling the tank with the carburetor cleaner. I did warm this in my oven, and let's see what this shoots at. About 136 degrees Fahrenheit. I warmed this at 250 degrees. That is this glass container. And then let it cool for a bit, and then immersed it into the warm water. I have a piece of copper wire suspended across the top of the glass. The jar, I should say, it's just a canning jar. I'm going to immerse the carburetor into the solution. I do not want it to touch the glass if I can help it. So the carburetor is now immersed. I've got my timer set for 20 minutes, and now we're going to go ahead and start it. Once this starts, it's going to make a lot of noise, so I'm going to kill the video just because you won't hear me anyway if I was talking, and there's really not much to say. We'll come back at the other end when this 20 minutes has expired. There, we got that 20 minutes of irritation done. That noise is not very pleasant. So we've run the carburetor for 20 minutes or so. I did at the 10-minute mark. I rotated 180 degrees end for end like that. And it looks pretty good. Again, the primary advantage of this type of cleaning with a ultrasonic cleaner is to clean those passages down in here, those drillings that you sometimes can't get clean with just carburetor cleaner and compressed air. It's good and warm. It's probably cooled down a bit. Let's see what it shoots. A little over 100 degrees, about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The bath, the water bath, is 100 and... do that again. Around just over 100 degrees. And the solution is about the same. So we're running everything right now about 100 degrees. And it looks pretty good. I think what I'm going to do though, since I'm in a process, I'm going to put it in and do it again for good measure. And again, I'm going to run a 10-minute cycle suspended like this, rotated 180 degrees, a 10-minute cycle like that. Carburetor body, then I'll consider done. I'll move on to the float bowl because there are passages here as well, drillings. And I'll probably throw a few other parts in, such as this carburetor slide and probably the brass jets. And somewhere along the way I'll bring you back and show you what everything looks like when it comes out. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back in for another 20 minutes or so, and talk to you a little bit later. And we have just completed the third cycle, which is where I did, I think you can probably see it right there, the jets, some of the brass parts. The carburetor body, this is a carburetor body I just completed. I did two 20-minute cycles on this. Let's compare that a bit to the uncleaned carburetor. That'd be the one in my right hand. This is the right carburetor, and perhaps you can see the difference. I'll put a photo up here in a second that I took of the cleaning solution in the jar and all the debris that had accumulated at the bottom. I just took a still photo of that. Because I freshened up the fluid, I filtered it, and topped up the glass jar. Excuse me. So uncleaned through the ultrasonic cleaner, cleaned through the ultrasonic cleaner. Here's the float bowl that went through the ultrasonic cleaner. So now that the jets have been cleaned here, I know you can't really, there you go, there you can see them. I'll fish those out of the fluid. These two parts, along with some of the other cast items, I'm going to take outside now, and I'll do a soda blast of these components. And in the meantime, I'll go ahead and get this other carburetor and associated components going in the ultrasonic cleaner. So I'll be soda blasting one set and ultrasonic cleaning the other. I will probably just show you a little snippet of me doing the soda blasting of this carburetor body. I won't show the whole thing. You've seen it before, I think, by now. But I will give you a little flavor of what that's going to look like. It's a fairly nice day out today. It is winter. It's probably 40 degrees Fahrenheit out, just above, a few degrees above 0 Celsius. So it's quite manageable, and we're not expecting any precipitation today. So I'll go ahead and get that set up and pick you up over there when I'm doing the soda blasting. So that's going to be it for this video today, folks. That is the detailed cleaning of the carburetors for the Yamaha YL1. Went through a bit of the ultrasonic cleaning process. I showed a few clips of cleaning the cast parts of the soda blast unit. By now you may have realized that the cleaning of these brass floats I demonstrated and split off into its own video, video number 162. That's Shop Talk number 17. That's video 162. Shop Talk number 17, so check that out if you're interested in how to clean brass floats. I'm going to call it a wrap on this video at this point. Any questions or comments, drop me a note. What you'll see next is me doing the final assembly, or reassembly rather, of these carburetors as usual. Thanks for watching.